What's up you guys, welcome back to the channel.
So over the next 6 to 12 months, HP and I have a lot planned with the Turo fleet. Of course, we want to expand and grow. We want to get a dealer's license, and in order to accomplish those two things, we really need to at some point pull the trigger on a commercial space.
So as some of y'all know, last year at the end of the year, we upgraded my garage with brand new flooring and an entire Husky cabinet system to make working on our 18-car sharing fleet super easy. I've even gone through and organized all my oil to make sure I have every single type of filter for oil changes. I have a dedicated cleaning drawer as well. That way I can quickly zip out our vacuum and vacuum out cars and clean them accordingly. But one thing I've quickly noticed when adding, I think 6 cars since around that time, that we've become very limited and we're almost bottlenecking in this area. Unfortunately, because we use our personal garage for business, that means our personal cars kind of get in the way, and that's really unfortunate when we're trying to work on a variety of cars. If I have to bring a car in here, that means I have to pull Aubrey's car out, and if I don't have enough space to get jacks around it, that means I have to move the GT500 out, or I have to move it really over to the side, and it's kind of a pain if I have to work on that and do that every single time I bring in a car. If you look inside as well, we don't have very tall ceilings in our house, which means we can't put a dedicated 2-post lift in here to work and do heavier jobs on some of these cars. And on top of that, even if we went to a floor jack lift system, Aubrey would have to drive over it consistently every time she pulls in and out of the garage, or I'd have to find a space in here to stand them up or move them over. So not a lot of room to work in here, and definitely something that we're quickly outgrowing. As you can see, we have a lot of parts and shelves right here, which kind of help manage that, but in between spare tires and wheels and all the other stuff that we have going on in our life, we are really limited on space.
And our garage is fine right now, but we are looking to expand the fleet to 5, 10, 15 cars in the next year, and we're going to be growing out of this really quickly. Not to mention the fact that we do want to look at getting our dealer's license, and we'll need a commercial space in order to do that.
And that begs the question, where do we go from here?
Now, in an ideal world, we would definitely want to buy our commercial property, but DFW is insanely expensive, and even getting a rundown, poor location real estate is millions of dollars. So it's just very unlikely for that to happen unless the commercial real estate market absolutely tanks, which I don't think will happen. So because of that, we'll have to probably lease the property, but we do have a few locations in mind, and we're going to be checking some of those out today.
So with that in mind, the 3 things that we're really looking for in our next space coming up is going to be a garage with high ceilings to work on cars and possibly put a lift in, an office space, and a studio workspace. And this is our first stop. And this place actually may look pretty familiar. There's our cars. So this would be like the ideal place. Unfortunately, because our lot is so close to actually where we live, it makes it really easy and really hard to look at any other place that isn't like right down the street. It's actually a little bit closer to our house than maybe the lot is. So
by about 100 feet.
By like 100 feet, yeah. This specific garage is actually the landlord who just bought this entire retail area. This is his own garage. He does auto glass as a side work, and then he also manages this building, and this would be the ideal place. We even looked inside, and the ceilings are even taller than our garage, but they're drop ceilings, and he was actually even talking about removing them if you had to. He knows we're interested. I didn't say we were quite ready just yet, but I'm trying to plant that seed so when we actually do want this space, hopefully he'll let us rent it from him.
Now this garage right here features the garage and an office space. If I was to picture my perfect office setup, it probably wouldn't be this location, but from a logistics standpoint, you really can't get much better. It would be the perfect location to grow from where we currently are. So now let's head over to the second property, which in an ideal world would be the one that we would go with.
You can tell it's nice by the way that it is.
Now we unfortunately can't go inside here because it is protected by a gate, but this is called Garages of Texas, and they're known as garage condos. So behind each one of those doors, there's a loft area where we could put an office, we could put a studio, and there's a huge garage space where we could put a lift. The really cool thing about these spaces is that each single unit is actually sold to the owner. So unlike some other properties that we're looking at where you have to lease the space, for this one you can actually buy it.
So one thing I really love about these is that they're really car enthusiast oriented. And they look amazing on the inside. It's a big, nice, open concept, and they really do look professional when they're done right.
The problem is that they come unfinished, and as the owner of the unit, you have to finish it out. So it's insanely expensive. To buy this property alone, it can cost close to $500,000, $350,000 on the low end, and then you have to pay to finish it out, which could cost another $50,000 to $100,000. So the only way HP and I will be going to Garages of Texas is if we win the lottery or if the economy absolutely implodes.
Let's go buy a ticket.
But honestly, even if the business had the disposable funds to buy something like Garages of Texas, I don't know if I could ever justify buying something that expensive that's a want and not a need. It's not massive, so we'd eventually grow out of it. And whenever you can spend $500,000 doing so many other things that have a more tangible ROI, it just doesn't make sense. But now let's go on to the next one, which is actually a more realistic option.
So funny enough, this place is the place that I actually used to work at.
So the way that this office is set up, there's a small reception area, there's 2 offices, and then there's a warehouse in the back. And that means we could have an office space to do our actual work, a YouTube studio, and of course, HP's garage. This is also located in a super convenient location as well that isn't too far from our house, which would be perfect.
So to paint a picture for you, the offices end right about here in the front end, and then it's all garage space in the back. Well, at least the unit that I used to work in, used to work for a franchisee of Dippin' Dots who had about, if I remember correctly, like 40, 50 freezers in one of these garages just stacked up, and we had plenty of space to work on and do stuff in the back. And as you can see, like the other property we're looking at, this one does have really tall garages and even taller ceilings. So this would actually be really ideal for what we need it for. And there's parking in the back.
Honestly, as far as what we're looking for, this could be like the perfect scenario. It is like the best of all the worlds. You can see there are just units after units after units, and there's even more buildings on this side as well and behind us.
So this is actually conveniently located about 10 minutes from our house and 5 minutes from where we store our RVs. So very convenient location, and it's about a minute from the DART station. So a good possibility of renters actually being accessible to here.
We don't know exactly how much this unit would cost, but we did reach out to the landlord, so we're just waiting to hear back. But if I had to guess, probably, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,500 per month.
Yeah. Now on to our last stop of the day. And it's here, the public storage box. Just kidding.
So these are office spaces about 15 minutes from where we live. They're very similar to the Garages of Texas, but you don't have to actually own the property. You can just lease it.
And they come finished out.
These spaces are extremely cool. Look at this garage space. You can see it with doors over there.
And the nice part is it's actually heated and it's air conditioned. So all this space is gonna be really usable. It's not gonna kill us in the Texas sun. And there's plenty of space in here too. As you can see, they already have fittings for a toilet. And then on top of that, you just have a lot of room to put a lift and still be able to put multiple cars in here. And with my parking abilities, the possibilities are endless.
Then of course you go into the office area, which is where I get really excited. There's actually some photos online that I found of these spaces finished out. I'll put those pictures right here. But based off of the layout of this space, we have a lot of room for different opportunities. This is like a conference room area, but we could just turn this into offices for HP and I and any employees we hire in the future. And if we go upstairs,
we could make this a studio.
This would be the perfect YouTube studio. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. And there's a little kitchen area up here as well.
So the one thing that's really nice about this space is that there's a good amount of just workable room in here. Having a dedicated studio upstairs for Aubrey to film and not be bothered by some of the shenanigans that'd be going on in the shop is wonderful. That's one downside, is that working from home, you can hear all the stuff that I'm doing, the compressors going off. You wouldn't really have that much in this type of area. Not only that, but to have multiple work areas and a dedicated work office and have separate bathrooms for everything works great.
Now this location checks all of the boxes. It is exactly what we're looking for, but it is pretty expensive. We didn't speak to the actual broker of this space, but we did look on the website and they're running for between $3,000 and $3,500 per month for the space that we would need. And that's a lot of money to be allocating to rent, which is again something that as of right now is a want, not a need. But to be honest, this space is perfect.
And we'd still have to spend easily $10,000 to $20,000 actually furnishing and getting lifts in here, offices, and getting anything else we need to really plant our feet and have proper roots in here.
officially pulling the trigger on a commercial space at least until Q1 of 2023, so we have quite a while to figure out exactly what we want, what we don't want, where we want it to be located, and of course how much we need to allocate budget-wise. We do need our fleet to grow a little bit more in order to justify this type of shift, but it's going to be coming sooner than later, and looking at these places in person gives us a really good idea of what to expect.
Out of the 4 spaces today, let us know which one was your favorite in the comments down below. And as always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode.